go from one mainframe to computers everywhere?
Ah, now that-
Painfully.
Very painfully again. In the early 1970s, there started being a bunch of PDP-8 computers pop up on campus. They were relatively inexpensive, $10,000 or $15,000 for a system, which was much easier than the million dollar budgets that were required to do mainframes. And there were a handful of them scattered around. There was one in bioengineering, different. There was another 8 somewhere down in the south end of Abercrombie. There was an 8E in geology.
I would not.
And so there were a handful of these things scattered around.
Chemistry.
Chemistry had another one.
Mainly.
There was a growing chorus of, we want more computers out of the research community. And in 1978, basically a few months after Ken Kennedy returned from a year of sabbatical, he came back exposed to both the internet as it existed, the ARPANET, which was the internet in those days, and to a whole bunch of little computers, and set about, finally they identified a program in NSF and wrote a grant. The grant did end up being funded.
NSF was really important in these days, way back even '69 when I came in the earlier machines, because NSF was beginning to give money to use technology, and I'll just generalize it at the moment, but some of it went to faculty members to buy equipment, some of it went to faculty members to use computers in other places.
That system ended up bringing in a VAX 11780, which was then put into a newly constructed computer room. That machine, the way it ended up working out, was 60% owned by the people in EE and computer science. The other 40% was owned by George Phillips in biochemistry. That was the initial setup, and it was the first significant computing challenge to the mainframe model serving the academic community.